As I reflect back on my experiences with math, I realize that math was always my favorite subject, especially in elementary school. I know this is because of my teachers and how they presented and taught the content to us. They never had us sit in straight rows of desks. They always encouraged questions and always provided engaging manipulatives and visual aids. However, as I got older, I developed a sort of fixed mindset towards math. Once I figured out I was good at math or that I was a math person, I started to not put in so much effort into the subject. It wasn't until I entered the education department here at ACU that I realized how my mind had been set to believe that math just came easy to me. During this semester, my eyes were opened to the concept of developing a growth mindset. I learned that instead of giving up when math became too hard, I needed to use what I already knew to learn what I needed to know. I also realized that I don't want to be the kind of teacher that implements fixed mindsets into my students. I want to encourage growth mindsets. And in order to do that, I need to construct my lesson plans to reflect the attributes of a growth mindset. Over this past semester, we had the privilege of teaching math concepts to small groups of students at Alley Ward Elementary. We went once a week for an entire 6 weeks, constructing our own lesson plans and coming up with creative and engaging ways to teach these concepts. I had the opportunity of working with a small group of 3rd graders in Miss Velasquez's classroom. And just after the first week, I quickly came to understand that the lesson plans I write are not permanent and that they quickly change once you get to know your students and the content they already know. I now understand that I cannot assume all the questions that the students are going to ask or all the concepts that they have already been taught in the previous years. From this experience, I also learned the importance of meaningful manipulatives and visual aids. By using engaging manipulatives in a meaningful way, my students were able to remember the concepts in the following weeks. By using visual aids such as anchor charts and multiplication charts, my students were able to reference back to these visual aids during their independent practice in order to use the right vocabulary and to do the procedures correctly. By using graphic organizers like the one shown here, my students were able to keep their work neat and organized, and they were able to visually see the math process that I was teaching them. Using engaging manipulatives to teach these math concepts allows for communication and learning as a group. This directly ties in with Vygotsky's social cultural learning theory. This theory also explains that instruction should be student-centered and that teachers should use what the students know to teach them what they need to know. This is also known as using their zone of proximal development. Another thing I learned more about throughout this semester's experience is the importance of a meaningful assessment. Before this course, I used to only ever have simple checklist assessments where I would take notes if the student got the correct answer or not. Now I know that a meaningful assessment is more than the number of correct answers a student got. It's focused on the process of the math concept. Can the student describe the process and why it works? Can the student work out the problems on their own and identify certain steps? Can the student use the right vocabulary when explaining their process? These were some of the new indicators we implemented into the most recent assessments of our lesson plans. From this course, I learned that I want in my future classroom to construct lesson plans that put the focus on my students' learning, implement meaningful and engaging manipulatives and visual aids, encourage growth mindsets, and make sure that learning is social. I've also learned that I want to encourage questions, allow time for the students to explore the manipulatives, and for me to use what they already know to teach them what they need to know.